Welcome everybody. I'm Lucian Fogoros. I'm the co-founder of IoT World, and with us today is Rajesh, the CDO, the Chief Digital Officer of ABB. Welcome, Rajesh. You need no introduction, but give us something unique from your, may not be as obvious in your bio.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Lucian. I'm very happy to be back here in IoT World. One thing that I see, if I look back my career of 30 years, is the three parts of it. First 10 years, a lot of focus on the OT side, working with Siemens and Danfoss and so on. Then the next 10 years on building the IT and cloud and analytics platforms with Oracle and eBay likes. And the next 30 years has been on building industrial digital on the SAP technologies as well as with working with ABB on bringing the artificial intelligence for the industries. That's something possibly not in my bio explicitly.
Very impressive. And let's talk about the later part and perhaps adopted within the industrial IoT audience, maybe about the importance of the role of the SaaS solution to the ABB digital offering.
Yeah, sure. So if you look at ABB, we have been a pioneer on driving all the four industry revolutions, starting from Industry 1.0 to 4.0. And what's changing for us in the last 10 years is moving from automation towards autonomous. And the real lever for moving that is the penetration of the industrial IoT. And as we know, the industrial IoT works across the layers, starting from your IoT device that is sitting next to the sensors on the processes to IoT for the hybrid cloud. And for ABB, we see that the value of industrial IoT is helping us to bring our domain expertise, combining with the data penetration in the industries, which is having a lot to exploit still, and bringing the IoT technologies for computing as well as mining of the data with cloud and edge. And finally, applying the artificial intelligence and machine learning with domain expertise we call as an industrial AI. This combination of data, domain, technology, and AI, that has been the real value for our customers for driving the digital transformation.
Great insights there. And I know we can talk about each one of those subjects separately, but let's focus today because that's the reason we got connected. You've just launched an asset performance module called Genix. Real quick, how does this suite help, this APM suite, help the industrial customer? What does it help achieve?
Sure. I'll be happy to share it. Remember, we had launched Genix as an industrial IoT analytics and AI suite last year in July. That solved the problem of how do you unleash the value of the data, which is more than 73% of the data is today not being used in the industries. How do you bring the value of the data? And once you bring the value of the data, combining with the artificial intelligence, you have numerous possibilities for you to bring the outcome for digitals. It can be for asset performance management, for improving the asset utilization and asset reliability, or it could be operational performance and operational reliability, or it could be on the sustainability and energy management and so on. What we launched just last month is or the asset performance management, which is one of the value pillars of the digital, which focuses on how do you bring the value of data and the industrial IoT, applying the AI to predict and improve the asset reliability, asset maintenance, as well as asset performance. Genix Asset Performance Management, it's a complete suite. It starts from seamlessly enabling the OT side on condition monitoring to go and look at the asset strategy and investment planning. We call this as Genix Asset Performance Management Predict to predict 360 of maintenance, predict 360 of your asset performance, and also the asset lifetime, and how do you keep improving your equipment lifetime as well. And the analysts clearly see the value of IoT and AI to bring the value of as much as 50% of your asset uptime can be improved by using the APM solutions. And we have seen that with our customers applying Genix APM, they could see increase the lifeline of the equipment, critical equipment by more than 40% as well.
Got impressive numbers. So definitely see the value, and just which is further analysts see that as well. And there's been recent consolidation in the space, yet there's startups that are now valued over $1 billion. Talk about what is different about this ABB's Genix APM.
Sure. See, ABB also has been helping customers on the asset performance and asset management for decades. So we have a very large install base of customers, wherein not only we help for our own industrial assets and equipments to how to improve the life of them, how to increase the reliability. But what we brought unique in Genix APM is applying the data science, applying the industrial artificial intelligence for predicting the failures of the assets, for improving the asset performance by leveraging the real power of the industrial artificial intelligence. Traditional methods has been either using the first principle models or OEM specific models, or with the domain expertise also using rule-based models for predicting the failures. Whereas this new dimension of using the power of artificial intelligence applied to variety of assets, whether ABB or non-ABB assets, across the different industries, using that to find out the prediction of both when the failures of a specific equipment or a system of assets can happen, as well as looking at different dimensions of assets, whether it's on the asset reliability or asset safety or asset performance or asset health. And that helps also to increase the asset life extensions, but also helping our business controllers and financial advisors to look at the different business models. For instance, we can now provide assets life investment planning attached to the insurances, and you can provide them as a service and so on. So the unique value of this Genix APM, beyond what ABB has been already providing a large amount of asset performance and management services, is bringing this the next generation technology of what it brings for the industrial AI, for the asset performance and improving the asset reliability.
So will it have, just so my understanding, will it have more of the data process, right? In other words, is this process specialization, will it be built as part of the APM model, the long history that you have over a century old? So
yeah, sure. See, the code that we call in the Genix APM is what we have as the Genix APM foundation. So we have for all the different asset types, whether it's a rotary equipment or static equipment or composite complex assets such as turbines or even instrumentation. For each of the different types of assets, we have predefined templates that captures what should be the data that you should be measuring it, what are the derived calculations for those different assets for calculating the asset lifetime, or whether you look at the asset efficiency or performance index and so on. It also then takes to the prediction parameters, which can be on different methods. We have 6 major prediction algorithms that can be applied to more than thousands of different models. So this gives a pre-built capabilities for predictions of various things, including your the failure conditions for different failure modes, or it could be also that your asset life, remaining useful life of an asset, or you could be also identifying the how far your asset integrity limits are beyond your design conditions, so that you are not leading to a failure, proactively looking at increasing your asset life and so on. So it is all about the domain expertise of ABB for years together, whether we are talking about mining or whether we are talking on pulp and paper or oil and gas. That knowledge is brought into the software itself in Genix APM. So that helps to serve our customers at scale. We are not just dependent on few people's minds. It's embedded into the software to solve the customer's problem on asset performance management.
all right, Rajesh. Now, can you elaborate a little bit as to how does this Genius, or how does this Genix or your solution help get out from this pilot purgatory? How do you go from a pilot to scale out to the multi plants and so on?
Sure. So one of the key things that we kept in mind in the architecture of Genix is to make it seamlessly scalable from a small pilot. It could be as simple as that you would like to spend $100,000, but you want to get how much your data readiness as well as your accuracy levels that you can get for the asset performance to get started on a one specific pilot, but then scale enterprise and cross enterprise for multiple different units. You use the same platform and same architecture for scaling from one to the other. Of course, this also needs in terms of the different deployment models. So Genix APM is available both on the SaaS model. That means that you don't need to have any infrastructure at the customer place, or it could be also available on the on-premise on the customer's data center or private cloud. What that means for the customer is to be able to quickly show the value of the predictive analytics on industrial AI for the assets, and that can be also used as a business case for them to build on their larger asset performance management programs. And we have been working with a lot of customers across the world in terms of quickly showing the value of these latest technologies and AI and data for performance management of assets, and proving that in a matter of 3 months with the pilots, and working on a 2 year longer program for their complete asset management program for all the different assets as well as the units of their enterprise.
I see. So what you're saying is basically, whereas before it took a lot of capital investment to see or may not even see what the results are, now you can kind of get the data, show the fact that you've had success, and it's now allowed scaling it. Appreciate that, making it much clearer and how some of the plants may want to approach this.
Sure, absolutely.
So the question is about the perception of the plant manager about this new offerings, more connected devices, which would imply perhaps more complexity, and perhaps even the fact that for the last couple of decades we had been pitching predictive maintenance, prescriptive maintenance, yet it's only in recent year that the technology made that possible.
Sure. So if you look at predictive maintenance, customers have been using the predictive maintenance for years, and ABB also has been providing predictive maintenance based solution for asset performance for decades. But the difference is that we were always used to having the predictions based on the rules, and the rules are determined in terms of the conditions and what potential could be the actions. And the accuracy of those will be predominantly based on how much you know the assets. Typically, the OEMs of those industrial assets are in a good position to give, based on the conditions, what could be the potential failure or the prescriptions. And this is something that many of the plant managers are used to, and they believe that it is possible. But the challenge comes when you go beyond the simple assets to the composite assets. We talk about composite assets such as the compressors or turbines or generators or critical equipments which has a system of assets. It is not possible for you to put the rules or conditions. So here comes the value of the AI. You use the data that is collected from various different sensors, and not only the physical sensors but also so-called virtual sensors. The virtual sensors are nothing but the data coming from the IT systems such as SAP on giving the maintenance data, or it could be the engineering data that is coming from the engineering systems on the integrated limits. By using this contextual data and applying the machine learning, you could do the predictions not dependent on the rules, but looking the data patterns. And this has proven a significant value for you take to any industries. You could cover the 70% of the assets using this data-driven, machine learning-driven assets. And the remaining 30% could also be leveraging the industrial AI, but you will define specific failure mode for those critical equipments. So by combination of the domain as well as the AI, we will cover what is really visioned as the predictive maintenance for asset performance. And as I said, it's not only just about the failure conditions and predictive maintenance, but also improving the asset performance, improving the asset reliability, improving the asset integrity and safety, and also having a much better prediction on remaining useful length of an asset. And more importantly, using that for strategic planning of asset investments. All this is possible with using these latest techniques of industrial AI for APM.
Thank you for that. And if I read the press release properly, have cut down the unplanned downtime and maintenance costs by 40%, as well as save as much as 10% overall production loss, which can be significant. Thank you for sharing those insights, Rajesh. I want to close with one last question, which is what's next for digital asset performance, digital asset management solution from ABB?
A great question. So we will be continuing to bring the value on the value chain of assets. So today we have the APM suites provides a seamless scaling from a condition monitoring using that to predict at the edge. And we provide the asset performance management for prediction of the failures, which is the Predict 360. We brought the asset performance, which is about 360-degree of asset performance index and prediction of those parameters. We also brought in the assessment of the life, the remaining useful life. The next release will be focused on a lot on the asset integrity side. How do you predict the hazardous conditions of the asset safety? And also bringing more and more capabilities on the asset investment planning and asset strategy. So our value will start from ensuring that you bring a lot of value with APM for predictive maintenance, but moving further and further on the different dimensions of the asset as well. And of course, our goal is to bring this across the verticals, which we do all the time. And Genix APM is seen as our game changer for various different industries that we serve in to improve the asset reliability and uptime by more than 50%. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. And if you're in the audience and have questions for Rajesh or his team, feel free to leverage the hashtag and we'll make sure that we'll get the answers for you. Appreciate your time, Rajesh.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Lucian.